Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to tackle a topic that has become increasingly prevalent in our modern society, the phenomenon of men not approaching women anymore. It's a trend that has been fueled by a combination of societal, cultural, and technological shifts, and it's one that has far-reaching implications for the way we interact, form relationships, and ultimately, sustain our species. Now, before we delve into the nitty-gritty of this issue, let me preface by saying that the title of this speech, Why 90% of Men Don't Approach Women Anymore, is a bit of an exaggeration. The actual percentage may vary depending on the region, demographic, and specific context. However, the underlying sentiment rings true. There is a growing reluctance among men to initiate romantic interactions with women, and it's a phenomenon that warrants a closer examination. So, why is this happening? Well, the reasons are multifaceted and complex, but let's start with the most obvious one, the fear of rejection. From a young age, men are conditioned to believe that rejection is a blow to their masculinity, a humiliating experience that must be avoided at all costs. This fear is further exacerbated by the rise of social media and the constant pressure to project a perfect, confident image. The thought of being turned down in front of others, or worse, having that moment immortalized on someone's Instagram story, is enough to make even the most self-assured man pause. But rejection is just the tip of the iceberg. In today's climate of heightened awareness around issues of consent and sexual harassment, many men are understandably wary of overstepping boundaries or inadvertently making women feel uncomfortable. The lines between flirtatious banter and unwanted advances have become increasingly blurred, and the consequences of misreading signals can be severe, from public shaming to legal repercussions. This fear is compounded by the proliferation of dating apps and the perceived ease with which connections can be made digitally. Why risk the potential embarrassment and rejection of approaching a woman in person when you can swipe right from the comfort of your couch? This mindset, however, fails to acknowledge the inherent limitations of digital interactions and the nuances of human connection that can only be truly experienced in the flesh. But perhaps the most insidious factor contributing to this phenomenon is the erosion of traditional gender roles and the shifting power dynamics between men and women. As women have rightfully gained more social, economic, and political clout, the age-old notion of men as the pursuers and women as the pursued has been called into question. Some men, feeling threatened by this shift, have retreated into a defensive posture, clinging to outdated notions of masculinity that are no longer compatible with the realities of our time. And let's not forget the impact of popular culture and media representations. From romantic comedies that perpetuate unrealistic expectations of grand gestures to social media influencers peddling dubious dating advice, the mixed messages men receive about how to approach women can be overwhelming and confusing. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking: isn't this a good thing? Shouldn't we be moving away from antiquated courtship rituals and embracing a more egalitarian approach to relationships? And to that, I say, fair point. But here's the thing: human beings are hardwired for connection, and without a healthy framework for initiating romantic interactions, we risk losing something essential to our emotional and psychological well-being. Think about it: how many successful, long-lasting relationships began with a bold, in-person approach? How many chance encounters blossomed into lifelong partnerships because someone had the courage to take that first step? And more importantly, what happens when an entire generation of men is conditioned to avoid taking that risk? The consequences of this trend could be far-reaching and profound. We could see a decline in marriage rates, a rise in loneliness and social isolation, and perhaps even a dip in birth rates as people struggle to form meaningful connections. But fear not, for all is not lost. There is a way forward, a path that acknowledges the complexities of modern dating while still preserving the essential art of human connection. First and foremost, we need to reframe the way we think about rejection. Instead of viewing it as a personal failing, we must learn to see it as an inevitable part of the process, a stepping stone towards finding the right person. Rejection is not a reflection of our worth, it is simply a mismatch of preferences and desires. Secondly, we must educate ourselves and our children on the nuances of consent, boundaries, and respectful communication. Only by fostering a culture of mutual understanding and respect can we create an environment where healthy romantic interactions can flourish. Thirdly, we must embrace the power of vulnerability and authenticity. In a world that often prizes superficial appearances, we must have the courage to be our true selves, flaws and all. For it is in those unguarded moments that we truly connect with others and forge lasting bonds. And finally, we must recognize that the pursuit of love and connection is a fundamental human need, one that transcends gender, age, and cultural boundaries. It is a shared experience that binds us all, and it is incumbent upon us to create spaces where that experience can be explored and celebrated in a safe, respectful, and meaningful way. So, my friends, let us not succumb to the fear and uncertainty that have gripped so many men today. Instead, let us embrace the challenge of reconnecting with our innate desire for human connection. Let us approach the world and each other with courage, empathy, and a willingness to learn and grow. For in the end, it is not the fear of rejection that should guide us, but the promise of what might blossom from that first, tentative hello. It is the possibility of finding a kindred spirit, a partner in life's grand adventure, that should propel us forward. And who knows? Perhaps in taking that risk, in daring to connect, we might just stumble upon the greatest adventure of all, the adventure of love. Thank you.